Right, we can go ahead and get started. So because there's four guests here today, we'll do a bit of turn taking, if y'all don't mind. So to start off, let's just do introductions. I think that's the best way to get ourselves going. And of course, for those listening to the recording, it'll be the first thing they hear. So we'll start with Code to Inspire. Farah, do you wanna go ahead and introduce yourself as well as Code to Inspire?
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. And happy Women's History Month. My name is Fereshteh. I'm the founder and executive director of Code to Inspire, first coding school for girls in Afghanistan. I was born as a refugee in Iran during the Soviet invasion to Afghanistan. And certainly being born as a refugee, there's a lot of challenges and discriminations that you're facing. And for me to be able to go to school and access education was one of the biggest challenge. And from that age, I think it was very important to me to understand the value of education, and that the education, is a basic fundamental human rights, and no one should be discriminated because of their differences or background. However, I was fortunate enough that I could finish my high school in Iran, and then we moved back to Afghanistan 1 year after the fall of Taliban, 2002, to Herat. It's a city in west of Afghanistan where my parents are from. And I was able to get my bachelor in computer science. And then I received a scholarship. I went to Germany and I got my master's in computer science from Technical University of Berlin. I went back to Afghanistan and taught as a computer science professor for about 3 years in the university. So certainly my background, being born as a refugee and a woman in technology, facing a lot of challenges, pushbacks, verbal sexual harassments, and and be a person who is pushing for gender equality, especially in technology, and really made me to think about how I can create a place that it's safe for women, and also learn certain technical skills that can be translated into work opportunities for them in Afghanistan or outside. And that's how I established Code to Inspire in 2015. And since then, we've educated more than 350 students in our coding and graphic design classes. And 70% of our graduates found job in the community. Right now we have one location only, which is in Herat.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think especially in recent events, whether it be Afghanistan or Ukraine, women's rights to of course personal safety, but also things like education and hygiene that can often get lost in kind of the turmoil. So I'm really glad we can have you here today to talk about your cause. Christie, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and 1000 Dreams?
Sure, happy to. Hello, everyone. And yes, happy Women's History Month, International Women's Day as well this week. I am the founder and CEO of 1000 Dreams Fund. It's an organization that supports women across a variety of industries, really focused on them telling us what is their dream and how can our support help them get to that next level. Through my experience in law and in marketing and journalism, I have personally felt at times undersupported, lack of resources for my specific needs, and just an overall lack of real, guidance on how to reach my personal goals. And so, from those experiences and my educational journey, 1000 Dreams Fund came, and the idea came, and we launched in 2016, focusing really first on investing and funding. So we provide micro grants towards extracurricular costs and experiences that a lot of scholarship programs do not. And so that's been our focus from day one. And we've been able to really kind of hone in on industries where women remain underrepresented. So we run programs for women in STEM, women in tech, women in music, and also women in gaming and esports. And we continue to grow our efforts to support a variety of women here in the US and abroad. We are also very focused on mentorship as well as a part of our investment in women. But we're really, focused on empowering women who are on that path, on that journey, and know where they're going in a sense, but still are needing critical support at an important time in their life. So just really excited to be with everyone today, and looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you so much, Christy. Yeah, I think it can be easy to get a little discouraged with current events and the state of things, but 1000 Dreams especially is any of the stories that come out of you guys is really exciting and inspiring. So it's great to have you. Stephanie, do you want to introduce yourself and Too Young to Wed?
Sure. Thank you so much. And agreed. Happy belated International Women's Day and happy International Women's History Month. So I'm so excited to be here. I'm just already inspired listening to these amazing speakers, and we're so grateful for all the support that we've had through the Giving Block through the last year. And yeah, so Too Young to Wed is a nonprofit that I founded about 7 years ago, whose mission is to empower girls and end child marriage globally. And we've been working in Nepal, India, Kenya, Yemen, and most recently, we've been spending a lot of time working in Afghanistan as the situation has gotten much worse for girls over the last 6 months. And we have we work in a couple different ways. We also are offering STEM classes through our partners in Afghanistan, and also in Kenya, and coding classes in Kenya actually. And then we are these are mostly to girls who are the girls in Kenya are getting those classes. They were survivors of child marriage. Many of them ran away from their marriages. And then the other in the case of Afghanistan, it's an education program which will hopefully turn into a livelihoods program, and we do that through our Learn. And so and then the other thing we're doing a lot in Afghanistan specifically is to really try to prevent child marriages through since we all know there's been a huge humanitarian crisis, and we're trying to provide food to those families and livelihoods projects for those families, and those are ones that have been selected that have many girls who are at risk of child marriage in those specific families, and doing significant case management to keep them safe during this time too. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. I think that child marriage is an issue that maybe is not front of mind for a lot of people in places like the U.S. It's maybe feels like an issue of the past, but it truly isn't. There's lots of places around the world where it's still very prevalent, and it's really good that we have nonprofits like Too Young to Wed that are working on tackling that. Tine from Rockflower, do you want to introduce yourself and a bit about Rockflower?
Yes, hello everyone. My name's Tine Ward, and I'm the founder and CEO of Rockflower, which is a venture philanthropy fund, global venture philanthropy fund, and we exist mainly to get more money, essentially, to women and girls on the margins. And we do this by investing directly into social enterprises and community-based organizations through a 5-key framework, which is education, maternal and reproductive health, access to food and water, economic empowerment, and of course, peace and security. And I think just briefly, I mean, obviously all of the women who've spoken so far, share a lot of the work that we do as well, which is how to elevate voices that are not often heard, and are doing the work consistently. And so our main interest is in investing in the cracks and gaps, as I like to say. I have a fascination with this, there's plenty of money around, but it's just a question of how it flows. And so I think I like to sort of liken it to a hose pipe that has several kinks in it. And so I'm always looking at where the kinks are, how to undo those kinks and get more money flowing to where it needs to go. So I'll leave it there at the moment, but I'm really looking forward to the conversation, and very grateful to the Giving Block for all they've done for us over the last few years.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, we're really happy to have you here. The ability of Rockflower to seek out and fund, either civil society organizations or social enterprises around the world is incredibly important, and has a massive impact. So I think we'll go ahead and move on to the discussion at hand here for at least from our end for Women's History Month, which is I want to at least cover how each of you found out about crypto and came to accept it. I think we'll continue with this taking turns format. May feel a little bit like elementary school, but I think it's a little fun and gets things going. So we'll go back to you, Forough, for your experience with discovering crypto.
Yes, well, I think for me it was certainly first just very personal. I learned about crypto early 2014, and I think the reason I got very fascinated by the technology and just the ability to kind of like send and receive payment without the third party and a lot of other sort of kind of like KYC and documentations and things that, especially if you are from a region that it's suffered from a conflict and war. And politically is very unstable, it was very fascinating to me. And the fact that, especially as a woman, you are able to be in charge of your own finance without, anyone know about it or being threatened or confiscated, it was very powerful. And that was the moment for me to understand how I can get to know about the crypto in general, and then the payment side of it. And since then, when I established Code to Inspire, we were probably one of the very early first nonprofit organizations that started receiving donations to crypto. And we did have our Bitcoin and Ethereum wallet, but then about, if I'm not wrong, I think 3 years ago, we were one of, also I think one of the very first organizations that partnered with you guys, the Giving Block, and started using your amazing platform to receive other coins and other cryptocurrency donations. So definitely, I think just not only be able to receive donation through crypto, which can open more doors, of course, for funding, and also let the world knows that, with the kind of like, I think, misrepresentation of people understanding that there's crypto, and then they think about, unfortunately, the dark side of it, like money laundering and other stuff. But there's certainly huge impact and momentum of cryptocurrency helping, especially in the emergency cases, such as what happened in Afghanistan a couple of months ago, when we used crypto actually, to send emergency fund to Afghanistan. And I think that's like the powerful message behind using this way of payment. That not only can empower people during the crisis, but also breach the digital gap. And since then, I can say since 2020, we shifted our entire payment into crypto and sending all of our overhead and operational costs in Afghanistan with crypto.
Thank you so much. Christie, would you like to take it next? Looks like she may be having some connection issues. We'll skip to Stephanie. How you found out about crypto and came to accept it.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I thought that was a brilliant last answer as well. I mean, I think that, we've only really been working with crypto in the last year, but we are definitely converts for sure. So it kind of came to our attention first over some advisors that we had who were in the banking industry and who were moving their own interest into crypto, and that kind of started us looking into it. And then one of our board members, Hossein Farmani, he's the founder and president of the Farmani Group. He is, he's been kind of on the forefront of a lot of photography and art, different types of art direction, and he's a philanthropist. And he was encouraging our team to look into it more. And then as we kind of came to work with you all, we became, we've been able to really kind of reach totally new audiences that the NFT community has also, that's been growing in that way. So like such as World of Women and the Outlaw Gals, they've been both, we've been able to join their communities and introduce so many different people to crypto. I mean, to the issue of child marriage through, through cryptocurrency. And then also, as was also mentioned, we also have sent some emergency funds in that way too, to Afghanistan, which has been helpful with the banks being inaccessible. So it's been, we've only really been working in crypto for the last year, but we are like now like hard believers in it. We really learned that how effective it can be, and the community part of it is really not to be understated. It's really just there's just a whole community we didn't have access to or even really understand how much care there was and interest in creating change in a different way.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Yeah, you guys have been very learners for sure, especially with the NFT communities. I think the community aspect is a good point. It's not just, we're accepting MasterCard in addition to Visa. It's also that you're connecting with an entire new donor base that, might be younger or from, parts of the world that aren't using US dollar, of course. And it's really a global phenomenon and allows you to connect with entirely new donor pools. Tine, would you like to talk about your experience with discovering crypto and how Rockflower came to accept it?
Yes, of course. I was trying to remember. I think it was as far back maybe as 2014, 15. Again, my fascination was really with blockchain and trying to understand kind of where it would lead us and what it would mean for communities who are, who need that level of transparency and how it could affect the development community, essentially. So that was kind of my first interest into this whole process. And we had a Coinbase wallet for probably in 2015, so we started accepting small amounts of crypto then. But yes, it hasn't really been until I got an email from Mike in the fall of 2020, and we all get lots of quite dodgy emails, right? But this one really stuck with me. Sorry, and just so grateful that we joined up with the Giving Block, because not only just the individual donations that have come through. I think people think that you have to be able to give a lot, and it's from our perspective, and I'm sure from the other speakers on the call, it really is, even the tiny amounts make such an enormous difference. But obviously the biggest thing for us was last summer. We also were the beneficiaries of the sale of Queen of Lightning by World of Women NFT, which was just phenomenal because it allowed us to get funds out to 12 partners in 12 different countries within the space of 10 days. So again, to your point about community and new people getting to know what you're doing. And I think sometimes you can feel like you just have your head down and you're just, plowing through, dealing with everything that you've got on your plate. And sometimes it's just such a window of light when something like that happens. So yeah, it was a kind of slow day in August, and suddenly it was fantastic.
Thank you so much, Tine. I do love to hear about those Mike emails. He's perhaps the hardest working member of our team. He puts the co-founders to shame. Christie, it looks like we've got you back here. So do you want to go ahead and finish us off here for this question, how you found out about crypto and came to accept it?
Absolutely. I am back. Thank goodness. The connection went down. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss out on speaking with you guys.
It happens for the best of us. We're glad we got you back.
Well, happy to answer the question. So on our end, we have been really focused on looking at new and innovative ways to fundraise. I mean, as a startup organization, we launched in 2016. The nonprofit space is a competitive marketplace, and trying to, raise awareness for your mission and connect with those potential donors. It's always, top of mind as founder. And so we've developed some, unique channels over the past 5 years. Just a little kind of side note along those lines, we have a gaming and sports program called Broadcast Her, and we provide grants and mentorship and other resources to women who want to work in that industry. And so the Twitch platform for us has become a very, successful channel fundraising and the community that engages in charity and supporting charities and new charities has really been a big driver for us. So on our board, we have a woman who is based in Canada. Her name is Adora Agbu. I want to give a shout out to her because she is the one who initially told me. I mean, I knew about crypto, obviously, for several years, just as an individual, interested in it. But for my organization and what it could do for our nonprofit, she brought that to us and actually had, I think, participated in something with the Giving Block. And so she, connected us with your founders at that time. And that's maybe 2 years ago. And since then, yes, we've launched this as a new channel. And we have been learning. I mean, it is a new and fascinating space. I mean, it's the little moments of serendipity when you just, there's a donation, usually, and there's substantial donations that will come in. And it's very community driven, we've seen. And in fact, yesterday, one of our NFT partners, Fereshteh, announced a $5,000 contribution to us this month in honor of International Women's Day. And so, thank you to them. But it's things like that, and it continues to fuel our mission and the women we serve. So it's an exciting new way to fundraise, especially for new nonprofits like ours.
Definitely, I do love hearing about your experimenting with Twitch and esports as well. That's something that I, as our kind of social media and digital communications lead, are working on, writing guidelines for our nonprofits for those who are interested in getting into that. And we'll definitely be doing more with Twitch and streaming going forward. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. Moving away from crypto for a moment, I want to talk about the Awareness Month at hand. The question here is, what is the importance of Women's History Month to your cause? But I want to keep it, kind of open-ended. If you're just want to talk about, your personal attachment to the month, or, something you think that people maybe don't associate with the Awareness Month, feel free to. Forough, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Yes. Well, I think to me, the remembering this month as a way to celebrate women throughout history who, sacrifice their lives to help other women and next generation to achieve the equal rights and equality is very important, and to just appreciate those hard work and trying to do our best in our own way, to give back to the community and help more women. And personally, for me, the reason that I wanted to create Code to Inspire as a place that is safe and is very comfortable for the girls and women is that I wanted them to celebrate the sisterhood, to understand the value of supporting each other and taking each other's hands in a difficult time. And for me, I think creating that kind of like a cycle of sisterhood, that you feel that you belong to this place and you will be separated. And then once you get to a certain position, that you're able to amplify other women's voice and take their hand and stand up for their equality and justice and change. That's the beauty of it. And I think that's very kind of like resonate with what we do at Code to Inspire, to celebrate them, to help them to boost their self-esteem, but also to pave the path for the next generation of women, especially in a country that the voice of women is always being, not heard. Their basic fundamental human rights are always being taken away. And even as of now, with what happened in Afghanistan, again, with the Taliban taking over, and the first thing that they target is just basic fundamental rights of women being taken from them. It's very important to create those kind of like sisterhood environment so that we help and uplift each other.
Thank you so much. I think I couldn't have said it better myself. Christie, do you want to go ahead and take it away for the next, what you think the importance of Women's History Month to your cause, or just from a personal perspective?
Sure, absolutely. Well, personally, I have a 8-year-old daughter who is, smart little girl. And, I personally just watch some of the, kind of setbacks sometimes, and just her being a very active and sporty girl and kind of being questioned at a young age for like jumping around, and just thinking, gosh, I wonder if, this would have been said about a boy doing this, activity. It starts so young, I guess, is my point. And gosh, it's been interesting to watch through her and her education. She's in a really interesting course, and they are reading about women's suffrage here in the United States. And for whatever reason, in my education background, we never learned about that period in our nation's history. And so I've been learning about some of the women who were like so incredible, and as others have said, so courageous to literally put their lives on the line for the rights we enjoy today, but also to recognize there's still so much work to be done. And for our organization, we really do, we use the word empowerment, but we try to not come at it from such a paternalistic point of view, but more so that, the women we serve, they are already empowered. That is what we're trying to get across to these women, and encouraging them that they are already empowered to go for their dreams. They don't need, anyone but their own passion, courage, and efforts to reach those dreams. And so, we really try to inspire that. If you go to our website, we cover each and every single woman we fund, and we put their story out there and their dream and what they're doing to reach it. And using their story, even at a young age, to inspire others that, you don't have to wait until you've graduated with that right degree to go out there and make big things happen for yourself. And so that's our take on it.
Thank you so much, Christie. I think that point about empowerment is really poignant, and I'm glad you brought that up. Stephanie, do you want to go ahead and take it next?
Sure. And, I love being part of this conversation. Thank you so much. I mean, part of what's so beautiful about this is that we're all kind of in these different, we're all part of these different phases of kind of the journey of having equality for women in the world. And so, like, we're here today because, women before us stood up for their rights, and their male allies, supported that. And, but, unfortunately, the cases that we're dealing with so often are girls who, equality is just so far out of reach. They're in area that they're really the hardest to reach girls, and in a lot of cases there really aren't any schools at all. So, and I think, and even before, I mean, within a century ago, child marriage was very common, even in, even in Western countries. I mean, look at, just from an American perspective, look at, like, Elvis was married, to Priscilla when she was, like, she still believed in laws, when they started dating. And so it's not, even in the US, we still have cases of child marriage, but the cases are still, it's every 2 seconds a girl is married. And unfortunately, COVID has, and Afghanistan and different things, we've seen the cases go up over the last 2 years rather than down, when we have been having a lot of progress. So we're hoping that, through the communities, these new communities that are being built, and with the support of, the Giving Block and groups like World of Women and the other people who've supported us through crypto, we can help these girls that are most at risk in areas where there are not even schools get to the point where they'll be making history in their own communities. In fact, we're using the funds from one donation to build a shepherd school, which will help girls go to school for the first time ever in their community in Kultubo, West Pokot, Kenya. So it's a journey. We're all on it, and we're just, and I love seeing that so many people are on the different spectrums towards equality for girls and women everywhere. Thank you.
I really like that point about, women making history in the moment. It's not just Women's History Month is not just a moment to talk about, Amelia Earhart, as fun and inspiring as that story might be, but there are, women making history right now that, are supporting each other and making a difference. Tine from Rockflower, do you want to talk about how you found out about crypto? And I'm sorry, do you want to talk about the importance of Women's History Month to you personally, or to your cause?
Yes, of course. Gosh, so much to say. Yeah, from a personal perspective, I mean, you can probably tell from the accent, even though I've lived in the States for 30 years, I was actually born and raised in the Gambia, but then went to school in England, and grew up at a time where, I went to an all-boys school, actually, one of only 5 girls. And so just so many times being told to shut up and get on with your knitting. And so, to be able to be part of something where you can see everyone's value in an equal forum is really kind of what motivates me. I have 3 daughters and a son, and every month should be Women's History Month, quite frankly. Certainly that's how we look at it here at Rockflower, as, perpetually elevating the voices of those who, have extraordinary ideas and extraordinary capabilities. And I think it was Christie who said this, they just need the funding to be able to do it. So, that is definitely where our focus is. And to say Rockflower sort of is essentially like a gardener that helps to look and see whatever, where the nutrients are needed. One of my favorite books actually is by Dr. Suzanne Simard, Finding the Mother Tree. And it's exactly about that, how you create systems whereby, the forest already has a blueprint for what we should be doing with so many of the systems in our experience. And that is knowing exactly where to put, where to find who needs what, whether it's money or food, or, that there are systems already in place. If only we could look to nature to see them for ourselves. So I'm not sure that answers your question at all, but
No, it's great. That anecdote about being one of only 5 girls at an all-boys school sounds like I'm sure you have plenty of stories from that. I can see that.
I
how that would
do.
mold you into being such a strong person later in life. But I'll have to look out for that book you mentioned. I'll make a note to ask you about that after the space. So I want to talk about kind of the most direct aspect of crypto donations, which is, it's funding. That we talked about, the community and the exposure, but ultimately it is really useful to look at, what does a crypto donation do for your nonprofit? What is the impact that it can make? So Farah, do you want to start out with the impact of crypto donation for Code to Inspire?
Yes, absolutely. Well, of course, I think the first thing which is very important is the diversification of the fund. With accepting crypto's donation, we reach out to a lot of other donors and funders who might be interested and have the and prefer to help you with crypto. And I think that certainly was something that helped us a lot. I can say since last August with What Afghanistan, we actually received a lot of donations through the Giving Block with different kind of cryptocurrencies, but also we've had a lot of artists that reached out to us and they were interested to do NFT, kind of like a fundraiser for us. They auction their arts and then they send us, how much they sold their arts and through crypto. So definitely, I think was certainly very, very helpful and opened a lot of doors for us, especially during the crisis. But on the other hand, I think again, the fact that it enabled us to send our emergency funds and cost during the Taliban taking over, where the banks were closed, the Western Union had limited access. There was a line of people waiting for hours to get their money, or either their bank account were frozen because they were ex-government employees and they couldn't take their cash. So definitely, like, it kind of like again comes to the fact that it's very, very empowering, and it's also like it reminds us when you live in an unstable political environment that maybe you have to like leave everything behind and have the freedom to carry your own finance with yourself. I think that's very powerful. One example is that we partnered with Binance Charity, and through a Binance Charity, we actually sponsored 3 months of emergency cash assistance to our students who were mainly breadwinner of their families, but then they lost jobs because of the Taliban and the current political situation. And we helped them to create, their BUSD wallet through Trust Wallet, and they received cash assistance firsthand. And that was the first experience for them receiving crypto and being able to cash it out in a very private, safe setup. And it opened their eyes that I received a lot of messages from our girls that they said they're interested to learn more about it and, and encourage other family members and people outside of Afghanistan to use crypto because they felt very safe owning it, and also felt very safe and they went and cashed it out and has the ability to act a global economy even with the current situation in Afghanistan.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad you brought up that aspect of crypto being able to, kind of get around some of the aspects with bank closures and failures and, government reach that makes it difficult to get funding to the right places. So I'm glad you brought that up. Christie, do you want to talk about the impact of crypto donations for 1000 Dreams?
Happy to. We direct most of these dollars we're raising through crypto towards the microgrants we're providing students. We have a couple programs that allow us to fund women internationally. The esports and gaming work primarily. But this year, our board, we're taking a look at global expansion and taking our microgrant model for students to some of the countries where there are women who can immediately use these funds towards their education. Thanks to social media, we do get a lot of inquiries from students who are based in India. In fact, heard from a student in Afghanistan who's struggling through this crisis at this time to continue her education. It's those emails that really touch me personally when I see them, and encourage us to continue to grow and focus on ways we can expand our reach and impact, and ultimately, hopefully this year, be able to take more of our work globally. And any of these women on the conversation today, this Afghani student, I'd be happy to send her information your way. I mean, we're not able to support her directly through our fund yet. So, but anyways, that is where our crypto goes, is directly towards these microgrants.
Thank you so much, Christie. Yeah, definitely reach out in the thread about that. Maybe somebody else here can help. But Stephanie, do you want to take it with the impact crypto donations can have for Too Young to Wed?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, for us, I mean, one of the things that's been exciting for us about receiving these donations is it's they're as was mentioned earlier, you know, they're in kind of substantial amounts, which is really great because it comes without like when you get you know, 10,000 at a time or something or more, it comes with like grant restrictions and things like that. And a lot of the programs that you can't do, that you can't that you would want to support, sometimes it's these startup organizations you want to pilot with or things like that, and figure out if you can, if you know, develop relationships. It's nice to have this funding to be able to do things that don't work, that are piloting programs instead of that are pilot programs instead of something that's to see how it'll work and to see how the partnership will work, and you can move the money, you know, fairly quickly to be able to help in emergency setting. So that's one of the things I thought that's been nice for us. It's been able to help us try out new partners to give smaller grants, you know, without like to give grants without having to be apply for strictly through grant funding, which has a lot more just a lot of other things it's a lot of lift, and we can just try the partnership out, and so I think that that's something that we thought was really great. For instance, like the Shepherd School that we're doing is, you know, it'll be our first time. We have teachers as part of the group. It'll be the first time this area has had a Shepherd School, and we can work on that, and we can see, and it's something that won't be too. It's a huge impact for the community, but it's something that it's at like a specific grant funder may not want to fund that specific thing because it's not, you know, because that community hasn't had that before and things like that. So yeah, I think it's just been great for us to pilot new programs, to figure out you know, or to build up programs that have just started, like the coding program we have in Kenya also has supported by the Outlaw Gals. Like that's a coding program we've started, but we want to expand it and have it reach more girls. So it just allows us to kind of do it without all the restrictions that come with kind of the, you know, bigger organizations supporting it. Sometimes it's like works in a general operating fund, but we can give it to specific programs.
Yeah, I think we have the Outlaw Gals here in the audience, so shout out to them. Tine, do you want to go ahead and discuss the way crypto donations make an impact for Rockflower?
Yes, I was just thinking about what Stephanie was talking about. I mean, one of the things that Rockflower really focuses on is this need to address risk. A lot of the funds out there, whether it's, you know, traditional venture capital funds or even not-for-profit funds, you know, there's always this conversation around risk, which irritates me deeply because it's risk, you know, it's risk for the woman who's not feeding her child, or it's risk for the people who are unable to put together the programs that they know will work. And so we spend a lot of time funding essentially what people would say was risky, but we have a phrase that we call the currency of mind, and that is something to us means valuing ideas and people above all monetary sort of transactions, essentially. And so we build up relationships and we conversations even when there is no real understanding of funding being available. And then when the funding is available, you've already got the foundation in place because you've built that relationship and you know what you can put it to. So I spend a lot of time doing that. People think I'm a bit nuts, but it has proved well over the last decade. And so for me, you know, to be able to receive these crypto donations in the last couple of years has just been phenomenal, because then we've been able to apply them to you know, organizations and people who've been molding their ideas and their understanding. They know exactly what they need. They just need somebody to say, I see you, I get what you're doing. Here's what you need to make that happen. So yeah, as I said, you know, that big chunk we got last summer was just fantastic because, you know, it provided an opportunity to be able to fund the things that we've been wanting to fund for a while. And I think one other thing to just connect is this idea of connections across systems and organizations. You know, we have 30 partners in about 22 countries, and another one of our main goals is to, you know, there's way too much reinventing the wheel, and to make sure that a lot of those partners are able to connect with each other. And one thing that we're working on at the moment is is this digital education platform in Pakistan, and we're bringing one of our partners in Colombia, the L Oregon Foundation, developed this app called OLab, which basically doesn't require internet. So it's fantastic for a lot of these rural communities. And so we started this program at the end of last year with some of the funds from World Women NFT, and we're sort of building and growing on that. So again, it's this whole concept of connectivity, right? Which I think for me is what crypto is really all about as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that project is truly. I read a bit about that, and it's an exciting one. I know we're running a little long here, so if the four of you are able to stay on for just a few more minutes, I'd love to finish with perhaps the cheesiest question of the afternoon, but I think one that has worked out well when I've done it in the past. And this is one that obviously goes well for the highlights that we'll be putting out in the future. I want to go ahead and ask if you could give one message to the crypto community. What would it be? We'll start with you, Forough.
Sure. Well, I think the message that I have for the crypto community is that, to my personal experience and what we've done this past couple of months with Afghanistan sending crypto, is that crypto is the most powerful medium. I think we're going to witness that overcome the digital and economic boundaries, especially during the war and conflict and crisis. And to me, it is very powerful because it also doesn't discriminate people and help people even without documentation to access to global economy. And I think that's something that is very powerful for a lot of people who suffer from war and conflict and cannot be participated or included in the global economy. And just make it geared towards the work that we do and how crypto community really was one of our best allies during these past couple of months to overcome the financial barriers. Is that it kind of like reminds me of this saying from Rumi, who is a 13th century Farsi poet, who says that where there is ruin, there is hope for a treasure. And I think for us, during all this like crisis, myself growing up as a refugee, facing discriminations, forcing to hide your true self-identity and what women in Afghanistan are going, there's always something valuable that you can find in the ruins. And to me, the girls in Afghanistan and investing in their future through education is where we can find that meaning and value. And cryptocurrency in particular is the tool that enabled us and empowered those women who were deprived from the basic fundamental human rights that they have to still be able to participate in the global economy. So we're grateful for our crypto community donors, and especially the Giving Block, which has been a great support and helping us to overcome the challenges during this dark time, but continue our mission and do what we can in Afghanistan.
Thank you so much, Forough. Christie, one message for the crypto community.
Absolutely. Just looking at a current headline, our president today, the United States president, just issued an executive order on cryptocurrency that's going to continue to increase its influence. And, the crypto community has real political clout, and it's only going to increase. And I think with that, there comes an onus, in a sense, for the community to consider how to include women in the future of crypto, and investing and bringing women into crypto and the future of that, and how it can be utilized as an equalizer. I think will be important. So I think Women's History Month, the reason we're here today having this conversation, really I think gives the crypto community an opportunity to think about ways to include women in the future, and the power that this community does have to change society broadly. I think that's my point.
Thank you so much, Christie. That was great. Stephanie, one message for the crypto world.
I guess my message would just, I agree with everyone else, but I also would just like to say thank you. Thank you for shepherding so much innovation, for social impact. I mean, these are truly, we've been able, and everyone on this call has been able to make, transformative investments, and really, girls' lives are being changed. And I do believe that these girls are on the front lines of, doing historical things, and they will be part of, of changing lives for other girls in the future. And so I'm grateful that the crypto communities have helped our world become healthier and more prosperous and equitable. So thank you so much. It's been we've learned so much, and we're just so grateful.
Thank you, Stephanie, for all the amazing work that Too Young to Wed does. Tine, do you want to go ahead and close us off here with one message to the crypto world?
Yes, I think echoing Stephanie, just a huge thank you. I see the crypto community as, a new system of provision, essentially, because that's what it's doing. It's breaking down the old forms of, the dominant financial structures, and figuring out new and innovative and different ways to get money into the hands of those who need it, those on the margins. And so it's collective, it's shared, it's a community, and it's so much more than just a financial system, right? It's about people who seem to really care about each other and want to change things. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be part of this conversation with these three other extraordinary ladies, and thanks so much to the Giving Block.
Thank you. I'm so glad this was able to work out with the four of you. For those listening, I'll put out a recap tweet with links to the crypto donation pages for each of the nonprofits here today. There will also be a YouTube recording as well as some social media highlights coming out a little later in the month. Our spaces are just today, tomorrow, and Friday, but those recordings and highlights will come out later in the month so that we can really keep this present for the entire month. Thank you again to Forough, Stephanie, Christie, and Tine. It's been great having you. I appreciate you staying, even though we went a little over the time I let you know about, but it's been great having you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one, guys.